Hello, everybody. So, one thing you may not know is that I don't listen to my videos ever. I don't like the sound of my voice, and so there's never any editing. And so, um, apparently, there's one of my videos on the Iyawo, which is completely inaudible. Someone did post, I think, a comment on it. I kind of like overlooked it, and then my mom, she found my channel. Like, hey, the video, you can't hear it. So I made that video a couple years ago, and I'm trying to remember what I was talking about. Um, so hopefully I won't miss too many things, but one of the things that, based on the comment, the description I gave, I think I was reacting to Orisha.com. I'm a big fan of that site, love it. But it was their trip to Cuba. It's a Yoruba site, Yoruba religion, and music and entertainment and stuff, traditional. And they go to Cuba for the first time. Nice. They were very happy to be there, to witness Orisha. Very nice. And I think at that time, I guess I was just a little bit more reactionary because they used, I believe, for one little part, used a poor choice of words, right? And they refer to some of the practices as mistakes, right? And obviously, when someone doesn't consider the historical background to certain practices, how we got from A to B to C, and you just, dismiss it as a mistake as opposed to an evolving thing. Of course, I wanted to make a video about it, but it wasn't just about that. I actually wanted to go and talk a little bit more about the benefit and the spiritual significance and the psychological significance of going through the Lukumi Iyawo period. So for those of you who do not know, in the Afro-Cuban tradition, it is customary for the initiates to dress in white for an entire year. An entire year is a big sacrifice, right? It's very difficult for a lot of people to do, and even today, um, we don't ask anyone to risk their jobs over it, or anything, right? If your boss is going to call you into his or her office over it, by all means. But for the most part, once you leave work and once you're not in danger of being fired or anything like that, yeah. So we're back in our white. We dress in white, otherwise 24/7, right? And so that is a big part of your first year of initiation. Um, so, um, so what is that? Why do we do that? One of the things that Orisha said, that the idea of men calling themselves Iyawo was a mistake, and I kind of found that weird, because the word Iyawo means bride. They say that, and so kind of weird because I have encountered Yoruba people in Yoruba tradition where initiates do call themselves Iyawo, right? Because you are subordinate to your deity, right? I know that doesn't sound fantastic, right? 2021, right? Just the context, right? You are the bride of your deity, right? But as far as I'm aware, even in Yoruba land, Watala, Shongo, it's very normal for male initiates to refer to them as Iyawo. But for example, when I got initiated into Ugbuni, we didn't call ourselves Iyawo. So it might be Orisha specific, it might be region specific. I don't know. But I do know that it is very much the custom in the Afro-Cuban tradition. When you get full initiation, you are an Iyawo. Okay? The first year of your Iyawo, right? Most people concede that the Warahe is 1 year long, and then that's it. Others people say no, your Iyawo period is 7 years. Only the first year you're required to dress in white. And there's some spiritual significance behind these numbers. What happens at the end of year 1? What happens at year 7? What happens at year 16, etc. Right? These are more stuff for initiates, but for the most part, the first year, one of the things after, so the first 7 days, you're completely sequestered, right? You're locked in your initiation room, right, or your initiation area, and right, you don't have freedom to walk around, right? You are tied in there for 7 days, and then and it's a spiritual time. It represents a time away from the profane world, etc. And when you leave the initiation room or the initiation area, you go back into the profane world, but you don't go back as a profane, you come out as an initiate. And the dressing in white represents in part a continuation of your purification process, a continuation of your path to priesthood. Now, 9 times out of 10, maybe 99 times out of 100, most people who, most of us who go through the year, it's basically a year of eating a lot, not getting a lot of movement. We gain a little bit of weight, right? Put a lot of effort into doing laundry because, especially like if you're in New York, when it snows, you get that dirty snow all over your clothes. It really is a lot of work dressing in white for an entire year. It's a lot of work. Apart from the social issues, right? Okay, but there's other parts to it. So like for the first 3 months are very, very strict for us. First 3 months, you're in your house by 6 p.m. And even after the 3 months, you try to be home before sundown. There's no parties, you try to avoid crowded areas, and you don't even go to religious functions unless you're going with your own elder, right? You don't go. Somebody invites you to, even if it's an Orisha function, like, oh, we're all Orisha. No. Doesn't matter if we're all Orisha devotees. If you're not with your elder the first year, you don't go. And so all these sacrifices, all these changes, and most of us, when we're not next to our godparent, we're just pretty much sitting at home gaining weight because we're eating a lot. We have nothing much to do, right? And so another thing that the comments from the Orisha.com post, I think it's like a blog, and one of the things that they said was, it's a mistake. You don't have to wear it for a year. Like, and yeah, I've encountered that before, right? So as far as I know, nobody besides us does that, right? So it took me a long time to try to like figure out, maybe take a guess, a shot in the dark, as to what could be the possible origins to the practice, right? Just as a curiosity thing. And B, how can we better use our time as Iyawo to really maximize the opportunity, right? If we're gonna dress in white, let's maximize the opportunity. So I think I'm gonna start with that part first, right? How do you get the most out of it, right? How do you experience your Yaworahe without it being a punishment, or right? So definitely a sacrifice for sure, right? As far as I'm concerned, more of a sacrifice than even the money, right? Because right, money comes and goes, right? Work hard, get another shift at work, God willing, you always have enough food on your plate, but you can recoup it, right? But right, sometimes being disoriented from your community, right? It's not like Cuba, everybody in your neighborhood kind of like knew exactly what you were doing. Here in America, everybody's like, you don't live in neighborhoods where everybody knows what that is, right? And you're just a weirdo, or so that's a big one. But so if you have to be at home by 6 or by 9, by sundown, you can't go to parties, you can't go to crowded places, you can't go to a movie theater. COVID, none of us are going to a movie theater. Right? In fact, I know a lot of people wanting to take advantage of COVID to sort of get their Yawadai out the way, because they're home anyway. They're not exposed to the white much outside, right? So anyway, what should you be doing with your time, right? You should be studying. You should be praying. You should be meditating. and then you should study some more, and you should pray some more, and you should meditate some more. That's what you do. You should be examining your ita, which is your life divination that you get at ita, right? That's what you should be doing, right? That is what you should be doing. You should be asking your elder questions. By the time your 3 months are up, you should be able to perform prayers to your Orisha. Maybe your house has a different policy. You shouldn't start learning prayers in particular until maybe your 3 months. Well, if your elder says, well, now's not the time to learn how to pray, maybe now is the time to learn something else. Maybe the pataki, the iton, the stories. Maybe you should examine and memorize your own ita and ask questions. Hey, what does this mean? What does that mean? Hey, somebody wrote this down. I don't understand it. I can't read their handwriting. Can you make it out for me? Or maybe you could even begin discussing, maybe after you have your 3-month boy and you present it to the room. Hey, godfather, godmother, this part of the ritual, can you explain what this means? I thought that was a beautiful piece of the ceremony. Can we go over that? Things like that. Oh, what do the Orishas like to eat? What are their favorite foods? Can you teach me how to cook? You don't know how to cook to the Orishas? Can you recommend me a book? Can we do this together? Things like that. That's the biggest benefit. I'm going to be honest with you. It's a year of minimized distractions, enforced exclusion of distractions. Take advantage. If you're watching this, you have an internet connection. If your elder's slow on responding, man, just get it yourself. And then if your elder says, hey, where'd you get that from? I didn't teach you that. Like, hey, I asked you 18 times. But then they'll teach you a different one. Forget the one you learned online and learn the one from your elder. Even better. The one from your elder is always better. That's what your Yawaraya should be. It's time spirituality, spending time in front of your Orisha shrine. Now, what are my tinfoil hat guesses as to why we have this practice? So I have about 2 or 3 theories. None of them may be right. Some of them may be right. It may be a combination. I wasn't there. I don't really have the academic background to really confirm any of this. So first instinct is that the dressing in white for a year does sort of have this ring to it, similar to what Catholics call a promesa, right? You make a promise. Hey, if you save my son's life from this illness, I promise I will make this behavioral change. It could be, even to this day, I know people who, in honor of St. Lazarus, they'll maybe walk barefoot for an entire day. Right? December 17th, they'll walk barefoot. Even if they live in New York and it's cold, that day, they'll go outside barefoot. Or they'll make a pilgrimage at a church and, walk on their knees. Some will dress a certain way. So that's one guess. Maybe because of the interaction with the church and this idea of the promesa, right? Orisha people tend to dress in white anyway. So maybe this idea came in. But what's another one? Another one which I think is actually a stronger possibility. So even when I was growing up, we always heard, oh, back in the old days, you were stuck in the throne for 16 days, not 7, and they had to shorten it down to 7. Then I also met some people. I met one person from Edo, from Benin City. They're like, no, the sequester period for this initiation is 14 days. Oh, so the whole 7-day thing doesn't appear to be universal amongst the Yoruba, right? Even when I got the initiation it was a 3-day thing, right? In Yoruba tradition, not in Lukumi, right? It was a 3-day something, and 3 days. So different Orishas have different sequester periods, and I've encountered that amongst the Dahomey, some of their initiations required very, very lengthy sequester period. There was even a documentary that was doing its rounds on Facebook. Off the top of my head, I can't remember what it is. And in that one, the young children, they were kids really, and they were basically candidates for being the next priest in training for that area. I forgot the details, but essentially like 20 young children, not toddlers, but like preteen, teen, and so they all had to live in the compound for like a year. And even after the year, it was a year of training, it was a year of prayer, it was a year of learning a ritual. And then at the end of the year, only one of them got selected. That's wild, right? So there you have an evidence of a year being sequestered away from the profane world. If you read the Dahomean narrative, is it by Hershkovitz? I'm not sure. You read Dahomean narrative, is it? I forget the author. In that one, he records a story, and in that story, basically says, this is why we only sequester our initiates for 8 months, because it used to be 8 years, and it proved to be too taxing on the initiate, right? Very cool story, by the way. The initiate was in the sequestered room, and every day this woman that lived there, beautiful young woman, would walk by, and they fell in love with each other, and just the 8 years was just too much, and they fell in love, and he breaks his taboo of his sequester to be with her. He's sentenced to death. She fights on his behalf, saying this is such an unfair practice, and she voluntarily goes to the underworld to be with him in protest, and basically, I think she gets him back. It reminds me very much to one of the Greek myths. Is it the myth of Persephone? Possibly. But anyway, this is an indigenous version of it, and so it explains why the sequester period went from 8 years to 8 months, and it just made me think, wait, what are we saying? We're saying that at the time that this was recorded, they were claiming an 8-month sequester period. So wait, that's a long time. Well, what's going on in 8 months? What's going on in a year of sequester? Well, in cases like that, you're probably getting the full training, right? You're not being let back out into the profane world without a very, very thorough training as a priest. And when you left, you were probably qualified sufficiently to at least call yourself a priest, right? Down here in Lukumi, whether you learned anything or not, you got people calling themselves priests, right? Whether they know anything, right? And unfortunately, you have people going out there, even initiating others without any background, any knowledge. But if you're sequestered in a religious environment for 8 months, that's like going to seminary. That's like any other, like going to a nunnery, going to a seminary, right? Same thing. And you're coming out trained. You're coming out experiencing religious meditation and offerings to the gods, and it's a beautiful thing. So my theory is that the year in white was sort of a mixed match of all these things, where you're allowed to take your sequester period with you, right? You can still go to work, you can still raise your kids, but otherwise the sequestering room follows you wherever you go, where you you limit your activity so that you lead a lifestyle that is conducive to prayer, meditation, and study. It's just a guess. I have no clue. And even if it's wrong, even if it's not true, the modern 21st century person would do well to consider that reason as a good reason to adopt for themselves as they engage in this. Well, anyway, long video. Sorry for that, but hopefully you enjoyed it. Hopefully the audio is better on this one than the last one. All right, see you on the next one. If you have any topics you'd like, please put them in the comment section. I don't do more videos. I have no idea what you guys want to hear. Like the video. I see everybody who makes videos says, hey, like my video. I don't know why. I'm not monetized, so I don't think it matters. Anyway, bye.